Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing why I personally believe that this economic turmoil that we currently find ourselves in is actually going to be a very good thing for Bitcoin, and I actually believe that it's going to result in one of the biggest Bitcoin bull markets that we have ever seen. Now, as you guys will know, the news has led to the entire world having a major problem with its economy. In fact, we've seen unemployment spike in America from 3.5% in February to nearly 20% today, just a month later. Every single market in the world is experiencing massive fallout and consequences for the economy being shut down around the world like it is, except for one market, and that would be Bitcoin. As you guys can see, from the bottom to where Bitcoin is now, in the last 3 weeks, Bitcoin has rallied 73%, and from where we started before this correction, Bitcoin's only down 12%. Compare that with pretty much any other market on planet Earth. I don't care what country or exchange you go to, it is going to be down significantly more than that. Bitcoin has managed to put in a pretty substantial rally and has almost returned to where it started. In this video, we're going to be breaking down why this travesty that is going on in the world may actually be one of the best things that ever happened to Bitcoin in its entire 10-year history. Of course, the situation going on around the world right now is horrible, and if I could snap it away with my finger, I would, but we always have to look at the silver lining of things, and this is one of them. So that's what we're going to be discussing in today's video. I think you guys are going to get a lot of value out of today's video, so if you do, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel when you do that. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Before we go any farther, guys, I do have a special announcement, and that would be that there is currently a sale running on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. If you guys want to get access to over 10 hours and 35 videos of high-quality content teaching you guys how to analyze these markets so that you can profit in them, no matter what the economic climate is right now, this is the best place to do it. The link is in the description down below. More on that at the end of the video. We're going to start with some Bitcoin technical analysis because it's going to serve to prove my point. Bitcoin was already in a downtrend and correcting before all of this news started, before there were massive economic shutdowns and quarantines going on around the world. And the day that the rest of the market shook was on Black Thursday, as I've been calling it, the 12th of March. Bitcoin fell from bottom to top nearly 50%. We saw almost $250 billion be wiped out in cryptocurrencies, and we saw probably $10 to $20 trillion of valuation be wiped out around the world. What would follow would be one of the biggest and quickest unemployment spikes in the history of the United States of America and the rest of the modern world. To put it into perspective, guys, America alone passed a $2.2 trillion stimulus package, and Donald Trump is talking about passing another $2 trillion package for infrastructure development to stimulate the economy. Central banks around the world have taken on massive amounts of debt to try and use quantitative easing to prop up their economies during the response to this, where many industries have lost 80% of their workforce and their revenues are down by 80 to 90%. Domestic flights in America have gone down from 10 to 20 million Americans flying every single day to less than 200,000. Several smaller airlines around the world have shut down every single flight, and many major airlines like United have count them, 3 international flights as of 3 weeks ago, and those are probably shut down now. Make no mistake, this is one of the biggest economic catastrophes in the history of the life of anyone watching this video. Nothing has been seen like this since Black Tuesday back in the late 1920s. All of that not to scare you, but to bring to your attention how incredible it is that Bitcoin has bounced throughout all of this. A considerable portion of the human race has been put out of work by this, but nevertheless, Bitcoin from bottom to top has rallied nearly 75%, which, by the way, if you'll remember, the stock-to-flow model on Bitcoin predicts that Bitcoin should be trading around $8,500, and by God, even the biggest economic catastrophe of the century can't stop Bitcoin from falling too far below that. We're correcting back up towards that as we speak. So where does all of this leave Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin really going into a rally? Is Bitcoin really starting a bull market right now? Should Bitcoin be continuing higher from here? Are we going to break $7,000? What actually follows this? Well, I'm going to be real with you guys. The worst is yet to come. The month of April and early May is going to be the hardest period of 2020, and honestly, for the entire world, this might be the hardest 45 days that we will experience for this entire decade, maybe even a good portion of this century. The next few weeks are going to be difficult. That is a fact. And during that time, I want to make this very clear up front because some people talked about this in the comments section yesterday. I don't see a lot of investment going into Bitcoin in the next 60 days, as people do have to pay for food, they do have to pay for rent, and hopefully not, but maybe medical expenses. It is going to be hard to see a rally form in these conditions. That is not the point of this video. video. The point of this video is to talk about where the money flows after we've picked up the pieces and the economy starts to rebuild itself. Because what you have to understand about Bitcoin, and this is very important, is that Bitcoin is not as dependent on the global economy for its price action as the stock market is, as the oil market is, as precious metal markets are. The precious metal markets, because of their history, are very, very closely tied to fiat currency markets and also to stock markets, and the oil market is floating on its own. It's one of the biggest industries in the world. Speaking of which, as a side note, oil has been jumping in a very big way over the last few days in response, more than likely, to the kind of ceasefire that Russia and Saudi Arabia have put into place over their little oil trade war that they were having. We will talk about that more in another video. But more to the point of this video, unlike many of those markets, unlike gold, silver, platinum, stock markets, the S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average, Apple, UK oil, the Brent crude oil chart, instead of all of those charts being heavily dependent on what is going on in the world with airlines shutting down. I mean, the S&P 500, that's a Fortune 500 ETF more or less, and it's covering many of these companies whose revenues are down almost completely. Bitcoin does not have the same dependence on the economy and on world governments as all of these companies do. And because of that, it has had the liberty and the ability to bounce very quickly. The reason that that has happened is because Bitcoin is very much decoupled from the rest of the world instead of being so reliant on the industries underlying these stock markets and stock indexes and ETFs for being successful. Bitcoin is more speculative, and that can be one of its worst enemies at times, but right now it is causing Bitcoin to have the biggest and strongest bounce of any market that I can personally find. Short term, that's why your money has been so safe in Bitcoin, and why instead of investing in stocks, instead of investing in oil, instead of investing in gold, instead of investing in just about anything, your money is most safe and has been most safe for the last month in Bitcoin, which is something many people have been saying for a long time, that Bitcoin would be a hedge against traditional finance markets, and it looks like that is being the truth. It looks like right now that Bitcoin is going to be much more able to weather the storms that economic uncertainty bring than something like the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or, as I guarantee you we will see in the next 18 months, real estate. We're not in the same housing bubble that we were in the last recession, and we are not going to see the same kind of reduction in prices of real estate as we saw during the last recession, but housing prices are going to go down as a result of an economic slowdown that is no doubt going to follow everything that we've just gone through. So as I said, I want to be very clear, there is not going to be a bull market and a rally during what is going on right now. After this is over, the effects of it are going to be very bullish for Bitcoin indeed. Because one of the biggest problems that Bitcoin had to deal with were people saying Bitcoin has been around for only 10 years, has not seen economic uncertainty. It's only existed during a stock and global economy period of bull market and expansion. It has not seen hard times. What will happen when those hard times come? That's what happens when hard times come. Do you see why I bet the farm on Bitcoin 3 years ago when I got into this space? It's because of reasons like this. There's a reason I trust so much in Bitcoin. There's a reason that I cheer every time the market value gets slashed in half, because I get to buy more, and I get to look forward to the day when I get to sell it at 6 or 7 figures 20 years from now and make bank, because I bet on the right horse. And I think if you're watching this video, you understand that Bitcoin is the right horse. Cryptocurrencies, decentralized currencies, most importantly, non-inflatable currencies, because one thing we're also going to see is hyperinflation of many currencies following this because of quantitative easing, because interest rates have been so low that we can't fix it otherwise. That was a mouthful, but it's all true. We bet on Bitcoin, and we made a good bet, because I'll be honest with you, many of my investments, when we fell 50%, I mean, that meant that my net worth went down by many thousands of dollars, but that's okay, because it's almost all back now, and I haven't sold anything, so it was only on paper anyway. To put a nice bow on my point here, when this recession comes to an end, the one that's starting right now, 12, 18 months out, maybe 2 years out, however long it takes, normally recessions last between 12 and 18 months, we are going to see a bull market of biblical proportions for Bitcoin as people start to realize, wow, people have been calling Bitcoin internet gold. People have been calling Bitcoin a hedge against traditional markets. People have been calling Bitcoin a safe haven against the traditional markets. Bitcoin is a place where we're not going to have to deal with hyperinflation. People are going to realize that, and there is going to be a surge of investment in Bitcoin by the big guys and the little guys 2 years from now when all of this is behind us. So again, for the third time in this video, I want to make myself very clear. I am not saying a bull market is starting right now. I am not saying Bitcoin's going to rally to $14,000 to $20,000 in the next 2 months. Bitcoin could very easily, and frankly, I could see it pulling back down to $4,000 or $5,000 in the next week. Short term, I am still somewhat bearish on Bitcoin. It's kind of a coin flip right now. Bitcoin's being very bullish. We might see it rallying back up to $8,000. It's very hard to tell. This is completely uncharted water. We have never seen Bitcoin go through something like this, so it's extremely hard to make predictions right now, which is why I haven't been doing it. But I will confidently make a prediction about the long term for Bitcoin and the effects that this will have on it. This, unfortunately, is happening. This, unfortunately, is real. this, unfortunately, does have major, dire, real-world consequences, but we have to look at the silver lining of everything. The silver lining of all of this trauma and chaos that's going on globally is that it is going to be extremely bullish for Bitcoin after this is all said, done, and behind us. We are building trust for Bitcoin that during major economic fallout, Bitcoin does not have the floor fall out from under it. We are building an understanding in the community that Bitcoin is non-inflatable and that our currencies are. They waited too long to raise interest rates. After 2008, we left interest rates down here, slammed to the floor at basically zero. For 5 years after the recession had ended, we started raising them all the way up into April and May of 2019, and then when all of this started, we started pulling them back. One of the easiest and most safe ways to stimulate the economy is to slam interest rates to the floor, because if you do that, you don't worry about inflating the economy as much. But because of the response that we've had to have to this, because interest rates were so low and the economy was growing so quickly, what we've had to do is print trillions of dollars of money for quantitative easing for businesses like mine. If interest rates were at 4, 5, 6, 7%, we could have lowered those, and that would have been our economic stimulus. That would have been enough to keep the economy going with a smaller bailout package for small and large businesses alike. Instead, what we're having to do is print money out the back door, and it is going to cause inflation in the US dollar. This US dollar right here, it's $100 right now. It's going to be worth 95 when this is all over. That doesn't sound like a big difference, but consider this could have bought an acre of land 70 years ago. You start to realize that that is actually a big deal when we're looking at long-term time frames. There are going to be major long-term economic ramifications for what is going on right now. We have been talking about that and predicting that here on this channel for 2 years, and economists have been predicting it for decades. It is not news. In fact, at this point, it's history. It's just starting to play out right now. The point of this video was not to scare you. The point of this video was to bring to your attention the fact that our best friend Bitcoin back there is going to be sitting pretty after all of this is done. It is simply a fact that the economy is going to rebound and be stronger than ever when this is said and done. The US dollar may be devalued, the US dollar may be in a bad spot, but the economy itself is going to be okay. The 1918 Spanish influenza outbreak was devastating, and then the Roaring '20s, one of the greatest periods of American growth in history, happened following just a couple of years after. The 2008 financial crisis left our economy on its knees, and nevertheless, the 2010s were one of the greatest periods of growth and technological development in the history of humankind. In the same way, when this comes to an end in the next 3 to 6 months, and when the economic impact is mostly said and done in the next year or two, we are going to see a major period of growth and expansion in our economy. We learn lessons every time, and we get better at this every time. This time, the real estate market isn't as in big of danger as it was in 2008, because we learned the lessons from our past, even if it was a hard lesson to learn. And the same thing will happen this time. And when we come out the other side of this, the stock market's going to rally, the oil market's going to rally, the real estate market's going to rally, unemployment is going to fall, and it's going to fall very quickly. And most importantly to me and to you guys is Bitcoin is going to come out, and it's going to be looking pretty. And all of those investments that we made over the last month as Bitcoin has crashed, and over the last couple of years as Bitcoin's been retracing from $20,000, they are going to reap reward. You believe and you shall receive, my child. All you need to do is have faith and confidence in that which you have studied. And if you understand Bitcoin and its technology and the reason that people love it so much, you understand that the next 10, 20, 30 years are going to be amazing for it. And you will also understand that's one of the most profitable industries that you can be in, and that much is simply a fact. So guys, with all of that said, before we wrap the video out, I do want to remind you of the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. If you want to learn how to profit in Bitcoin through investment and trade, you're going to need to learn to speak the language, and the language of analysis, the language of the cryptocurrency market is technical analysis. Understanding how to make US dollars or Satoshis is going to take an understanding of cryptocurrency. You don't become a famous movie star without having years and years of learning and training come before that. It is simply a fact of life that to make money in anything, you need to understand the way that the game is played. And the way that you're going to understand this game is by learning technical analysis. And I can tell you guys that the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy is the best resource you're going to find, and it's also the best deal you're going to find. I found courses with less content that cover less material that, frankly, in my opinion, are less well edited than this. They run $9.97, maybe $14.97, maybe $2,000. I've seen courses in the cryptocurrency space go for $3,000. You don't need to spend that much money on information. It's in this course for $249, $209 with the $40 off coupon code. code April 2020, linked in the description down below. But as to the question of why not just go Google this stuff on your own, it's a good question. I'll go ahead and answer it for you. The reason is because you are not going to find 2.5 years of experience from myself working in this market every single day on Google. People don't give that away. They simply can't. You're not going to find the structure and the organization of this course online anywhere, and you're certainly not going to find it for free. Try teaching differential calculus to yourself. Try teaching astrophysics to yourself. Try teaching heart surgery or brain surgery to yourself, and then go try and get a job in that field. No one's going to take you because you don't know what you're talking about. You have not gone through the structured, well-defined, understood to be accurate and successful process of learning those trades. And the same thing is true for technical analysis. There's a reason 1,400 people have gone through this course, and it's because it works. If you would like, you can join our Discord server down below and talk to some of our students. During times of economic uncertainty like this, it is important that you have some kind of profitable skill to fall back on. Trading is definitely one of them. It is going to take time to learn. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you want the freedom to make as much money as you want on your own time, CT2A is going to teach you how to do that with technical analysis. As I said, that link is in the description down below. There is a 14-day money-back refund guarantee, and please, before you join our Discord server down below, talk to some of our students and see what they have to say about CT2A before you join. I'd love for you to get their honest take behind closed doors where I can't see the conversation. But anyway, guys, that is going to have to wrap it out for today's video. Before I go, though, I do first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.